And welcome in, everybody. Brad Logan here from Sewell-Thomas Stadium, the site of a really big Game 3 of this series between Ole Miss and Alabama. It was a big win last night, a 9-0 win over Alabama. Game 3, obviously, we'll get into the numbers. Jake Thompson of On 3 and the Ole Miss Spirit will be joining us here in just a little bit. We'll hear from last night's conversation with Mike Bianco, with Taylor Rave, who pitched an absolute gem, from Will Furniss and Austin Foley, the talented catcher for Ole Miss, as the Rebels look to get to that coveted 16-win mark. They're at 15 now. They need to get to 16. A lot of the metrics are in Ole Miss's favor. I looked this morning, and Warren Nolan had Ole Miss as a number 2 in strength of schedule. Chase Parham of Rebels 247 has a really good breakdown on X about specifically what Ole Miss needs to do to avoid that trap of playing Missouri on a Tuesday in the SEC tournament. All of that's broken down for you on X. We'll have Jake on in just a moment. We'll go over all of those numbers as well. As you look behind me, it's a beautiful day for baseball. Probably in the middle 80s by the time we get ready for first pitch, as we see the Rebels taking batting practice here, this beautiful facility here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You look at what happened last night, and this team has kind of lived and died by its pitching staff. Taylor Rave is someone that's really come on here lately for Ole Miss. He's been superb, and last night, up until about the 4th or 5th inning, was the first chance Alabama had at getting a run on base. It was a walk. They would eventually get a base hit, but Taylor Rave talked about how important this win was last night. Here's Taylor Rave with us last night. The incredible pitching performance for Ole Miss.
Being able to get into the starting routine has been really good, and just being able to know kind of the game plan for attacking hitters, and also being able to work on things in the bullpen in between, and that's kind of stuff that's different from the pen, but it's a nice change in the starting.
Foley's given you guys so much offensively, but what's he been like just handling y'all defensively, receiving? It's been the same guy all year. What do you see back there?
Yeah, he's the man, just because with the struggles that he did go through at the beginning of the year, he never took a game off defensively, and he's one of the best defensive catchers in the country, and so that's so vital for us, and he does a great job of handling us and always being calm with us no matter what he's doing at the plate, and so you can't even tell with the success that he's had that he's changed, because he talks to us the same, and it's awesome for us.
Any lobbying there in the 7th, or were you done?
I wanted to go back out, but with the shortened week after last week and then SEC tournament next week, Joel was like, Coach B said, kind of a joint decision that it was best to just end it there. But I knew we had a bunch of guys in the bullpen. JP did a great job, so it was awesome.
Taylor Rave, and I thought it was good questions about Chase about did he want to come back in the game and finish the game, but it was a situation to where he kind of wanted to, but he understands the bigger picture at play, and that's, of course, the SEC tournament, but more importantly, getting a win here today and possibly getting that host spot. Ole Miss right now, according to D1 Baseball, number 18 as of last night that I saw on the SEC Network. 18 puts him just right outside the hosting bubble. Obviously, with a win tonight, Mark Etheridge of D1 Baseball, who does a fantastic job. He's also an excellent follow on X. He and Chase Parham both have really laid out about what Ole Miss needs to do to host a regional. If we can be frank, getting to 16 will knock a lot of those doors down. There's a lot of things that have to happen for Ole Miss to bypass that Tuesday game in Hoover. Essentially, if Ole Miss wins today, and I think what Chase pointed out was that if Georgia beats Auburn and Ole Miss wins, that Ole Miss would advance to Wednesday and not have to play in that Tuesday game. Of course, that is per Chase Parham of Rebels 247. So that's something to pay attention to. It was a really good day for Will Furniss, and I'll have to be honest. I've gotten to know his dad a little bit, and he was a Hall of Famer. He's done everything you can do, and he did it the right way, and he's a great story. And just being able to see he and his wife before the game and saying hello, it's fun to follow him. I can't be telling you a lie here and say that it's not cool to see Will Furniss do well and being able to interact with them. But Will's been a big leader on this team. He was asked last night about Austin Foley's leadership. We'll hear from Austin in a minute. But Will was asked about that, and I personally asked him about his dad and his mom coming to see him play. And it was been really cool while watching Will Furniss. Here's Will Furniss, the talented first baseman for Ole Miss.
Mostly just trying to get a base hit to extend our lead, and happened to work out the way that the ball got in the air with some exit velo. I didn't think it was going to get out, but I guess it traveled pretty well.
What was it like playing behind Taylor tonight?
Really easy. When he strikes out everybody, it's really hard to really easy to play behind him. So he's great. He's been great all year. He was no short of that today, and proud of him. He did amazing.
When you see a guy like Foley break out of the slump, but not just the home runs, really going to all fields, what's it like kind of watching him produce?
Great. I think he got back to what he was last year. He's always been a great locker room guy, and he's been on time with a lot of pitches. He looks like his old self, which is great, and we really needed that. And he's worked super hard at it. And I know he's been wanting to do that for us for a while, and so it's great to finally see him. He's been coming around for the last couple of weeks now too, so he's been doing great, and he'll continue that the rest of the year.
What's the mindset probably playing for a regional host tomorrow?
Same thing as every game. We want to win every game. Coach B says it's 30 battles, individual battles, and it is. It's true. Nobody's going to win all 30. I don't think anybody's ever done it, and I don't think anybody ever will. So this league is really tough, and you got to play one game, one pitch at a time, and kind of just treat tomorrow like it means what it means to us every game. We play our hearts out every game, and we want to win every game just as bad as any other game. So treat it like any other game we have all year, and play hard and play to the best of our ability. And we got Jake Thompson on the mound on a Saturday game, which is unfair to them. So. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Real quick, yeah, it felt like offensively, specifically the first 4 innings, you were barreling up the pitcher pretty well for Alabama. Did the 4 surprise you at all, scoring all the runs you did after kind of barreling up early?
I'm sorry, did what?
You were barreling up the pitcher pretty well in the first 3 innings.
Yeah.
And the 4th inning kind of happened.
Yeah.
Did that surprise you in the offensive experience?
I think everybody was having great ABs. We kind of had a little bit of bad fortune where some guys were hitting the ball hard right at people, which is okay. That's just how baseball is. And, they stuck. We all stuck with it. And eventually, one hard hit's going to fall or go over the fence, and that's what happened. We just kept grinding away our ABs, and that's what you got to do against a good arm like that.
Talk to your dad just for a minute and your mom. How important are they for you? I know I talked to you before the season, but having them on the road had to be really cool.
Yeah, they've been to every single series this year, which is awesome. It's unbelievable. I mean, I got to eat with my family this for lunch today. They mean the world to me. My dad is, obviously one of the all-time greats, and he's helped me through literally everything in college. And my mom is always.
And that was Will Furniss as we bring in Jake Thompson here to the conversation. Jake, you had a chance to see the game last night. You've been following this team all year long. Will Furniss, a big component of this team.
Yeah, he's been about the only consistent hitter throughout the season, and I don't mean that negatively. He just has been the guy to kind of get the hits or find a way to get at bats. And I think early in the season, what was really impressive was he could hit opposite field, which was something he kind of struggled with last year. And he had a lull, just like everybody did, and some still are, but he's found it. Everybody seems to kind of be rounding into form at the right time. Bacetta's at least getting contact on the ball, got a home run on Saturday or Friday night. And so there is positiveness to everybody. But Furniss has been kind of that key cog in the offense. And I think maybe right behind him would be Hayden Federico, once they moved him down in the lineup earlier in the season. Something worked, something clicked, maybe got his confidence back, took some pressure off him. Now he's moved back into that kind of 5th and 6th slot. And so between the two of them, that's kind of what's kept Ole Miss in the position they are. And, they're in the position they are today because of what Will and some other guys have been able to do all year when the rest of the offense has been absent.
You look at this offensive team, and we've talked about it with Austin Foley, with Will Furniss, and we'll hear from Austin here in just a second. What has the transformation of Austin Foley meant? You'll hear me ask him in a minute, what's changed? What has changed, in your opinion, him from going for, it feels like he couldn't hit anything, to now he's seeing it like a beach ball?
To me, it feels like maybe he's not trying to get that power swing. hit that home run ball that it feels like a lot of the bats are trying to do is they're all trying to hit that hero shot, and and some of the guys that is all they can provide. But for Foley, it's whatever it was. He got the right pitcher on the mound sometime in some game and got comfortable with the pitches that they were throwing, and it helped him find the swing, get his timing, get his contact down, and that has come a long way. Now, of course, he is still hitting home runs, but he's also getting some singles and some doubles in there. When before that, he was just completely whiffing on everything. Him and Pacetta were both kind of struggling at the same time. But for him to have that, be able to add that back to the lineup, we know what he can do defensively as a catcher. But for him to be able to add that, and for whatever it is, his bottom of the lineup the past 2 weeks, I mean, they were successful against A&M too. The bottom half has been really powerful and allowed the top half to try to find itself.
We heard Taylor Rabe last night talk about the leadership qualities of Austin Foley, and he called him the best catcher in the country. Here was Austin Foley with us after the game.
2 weeks compared to earlier in the year. I know he's been great the whole year.
I think he's locating all of his pitches a little better, a little lower in the zone, keeping him out of the middle three parts of the zone, and I think that's when he's at his best.
Not just home runs, but really all fields. What's been the change for you the last few weeks on this?
Just staying towards the middle of the field, and honestly, care more about what I'm doing behind the plate than at the plate. I think has cleared my mind up a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, and just being the best I can for my pitchers.
At times you overthink the offense and just let it go.
Yep.
How do you drop it? How do you let it get out of your mind?
Just focus on my pitchers. I think focusing on defense kind of clears my mind at the plate.
Just playing and seeing what Will does offensively and defensively. What's so impressive about his game out here?
He's a leader, and everyone sees it, everyone knows it, and I think he shows it on the field. And I think him being a leader has an impact on people, freshmen, and even me behind the plate.
Thanks, Austin.
What was the tone in the clubhouse before the game tonight?
I think it was more like we got 2 more games. Let's turn it on. And I think everyone was really happy, regardless of the win. Kind of showered well, and we were hyped for this game.
And kind of following on Chase's question, what has changed over the last couple of weeks offensively for you?
Just clearing my mind offensively, being able to hit the ball all parts of the field, part of my game, and with power. And I think
Hey, Chase, you heard Austin Foley there. He's just been a huge component of the offense. We knew he would be really good from a catching standpoint, but at the plate, he's been great. One thing I did want to ask, there was a question in the chat, and we'll get back to that in just a second. What I like about the bullpen is it's loaded, and we'll hear Mike Bianco in a minute, but he talked about getting Walker hooked up. But with J.P. Robertson pitching so great, Jake, he could put his shoes back on. He wasn't able to. He could take his spikes off. The bullpen is really in good position right now.
Yeah, I think they finally got the best case scenario when it came to their relief guy and not having to use hooks. I mean, this will be the first time in a month or longer that Hooks will not have pitched twice in a series or a weekend, which is huge for him. Just from a health standpoint, to not have to have gone out there twice and kind of redline it in 2 outings. And he'll get that health back up heading into the postseason, the tournament, and then obviously regionals moving forward. But what else it did was it saved every other arm that they may have to pull today, what lever they'll have to pull in. I think maybe overall, just in terms of JP, it was for him to have confidence. He's kind of been up and down. He's had some tough outings at times against some good offense. But for what he did in those 9 outs, I should say, in 3 innings, was probably the best that he's done this year. And that's huge for him moving forward in the next week, because you've got to assume with the tournament format, some long relief innings are going to happen just with how it plays if you make a run. But a 100% fully rested Walker Hooks, having not thrown to this weekend behind a Cade Townsend, who you hope continues what he's been able to do. I mean, if you're Ole Miss, you feel better or really good on the pitching standpoint. It's just can those bats carry over from not even 24 hours ago?
And then Hudson Calhoun, Jake, is someone else that should be ready to go should he be needed. It was a special night for Taylor Rabe, and head coach Mike Bianco was really impressed with the youngster last night with his pitching.
That's just unconscious. In 27, punch outs in the last 2 games, just another level.
said he's really working on trying to keep it down. I mean, what do you kind of see in just placement-wise with him right now?
Well, and it's a lot of different things. I thought, last weekend it was a ton of fastballs, and in early, then he had to go to the off speed. When they started to make adjustment. Tonight was really just a array of pitches. I thought tonight he threw more sliders than maybe he normally does, or maybe it was just better tonight. More swing and miss, more strikes out of the slider, and just really locating the fastball. And when you're throwing it that firm, and had more ride, I thought, to his fastball, more consistent ride than he normally did. Didn't throw too many two-seamers tonight. Didn't need it, but just a ton of strikes and a lot of really good counts, and just made it really hard on them.
Not just the home runs, but Volley's hitting kind of all feels better than he has at any point in his 2 years. What's been that like the last couple of weeks?
No, you're right, and I wish I had the answer that we sprinkled some magical dust on him, but you can just tell he's just on pitches. He's seeing pitches, and not just that, he's laying off pitches. You can tell he's laying off some pitches out of the zone that early in the year when he's not on, he chases and really gets himself in bad counts, and a lot of punch outs, and it's really he's really flipped the script that way. And so Brad just said, and I wasn't aware, 10 home runs in conference play, and we have so many really good catchers in our league that, so obviously he hasn't gotten a lot of pub, but I don't know how many have 10 in the league. 10 home runs in conference play, and obviously he's caught excellent the entire season, but really the last 2 weeks, maybe even longer, some really great at bats for us. And just as we've talked about, the top of the lineup's been pretty consistent throughout the season. The bottom of the lineup hasn't, but with guys like Fed and Pano that have gotten hot a little sooner, and then now Foley, the offense is really starting to be a little more complete than it was.
That home run big too. You're able to let Hooks put the tennis shoes on, I guess.
Yeah, the tennis shoes weren't on. Believe me, tennis shoes never go on. But he was on go. And when we brought JP in the seventh, we just at that time I think it was still 5, and there was going to be somewhat of a short leash, with so much riding, on this game. You couldn't leave, anything, to chance, and so he was ready to go. He started to get hot, never fully got there. We got out of this 7th, and then obviously a big 7th, big 8th, and so he never got up again. So that was big. You're exactly right to.
And Jake, what do you take from Mike's comments after the game, and what are you kind of looking for on a pitching standpoint today for Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think he kind of nailed it on the head there. That obviously JP or whoever it was going to be was on a short leash, but that leash got a little longer as he worked through those couple innings, and then obviously you get 2 runs in the 8th and the 9th. And it's kind of similar to when they blew the doors open a couple weeks ago, and they still brought Hooks in despite the lead being big. This time they did not have to, and that keeps them ready today. And I think you've got Calvin, as you mentioned, as a guy that can go. He pitched 2 nights ago, so he's had a day in between to rest as much as possible. You got Will Libbert, who threw on Tuesday, so he's got time or rest. I wouldn't be shocked if you see, if you have to or if the score allows it, an Owen Kelly or a Hancock in there as well. So you've got arms, but you feel really good with those first 2 names of Cade Towns and Walker Hooks to try to at least get you to that 7th or 8th, in relief. And if not, just like yesterday, the best case scenario is you only use those 2, just like you went with Rave and Robertson last night. And the bats do enough to get a lead, keep a lead, and make it a large enough lead to where you can rest everybody else, get this win, and head to Hoover feeling a whole lot better than maybe you felt at the end of Thursday night.
It was a really good performance by a player that we haven't talked about today and really wasn't talked about yesterday. But I don't think it can be said enough that right fielder Tristan Bissett has been an incredible player defensively. But, Jake, he's really turned it it on offensively. He's kind of found his way a little bit. Remember, he was hitting 360 plus, leading the conference in home runs. He just kind of fell apart. It's really nice to see him catch another gear.
Yeah, he's been real good defensively. Obviously, he's been the one that's at right field all year long. Left field's been that in and out rotation, but he has been a really nice addition defensively in right field. You know, he's had a couple of hiccups, some bad moments at times, but it's been few and far between. And you know, obviously the bat or the absence of it for a good stretch was frustrating. I mean, he didn't hit a home run until the other night since April 19th at Tennessee. So it was like a 12-game drought of no home run. And a lot of that was not even putting contact on the ball at all. So he started hitting the ball a little bit last weekend in the A&M series. It was outs, but it was at least contacting the ball going, you know, the right direction. And he's starting to find it. But yeah, no, I think if you hadn't had a stable right fielder like Posada in the outfield at times, making some of those catches he's made all year long, made a really good one in that first series at Texas too, where he slammed into that wall that got it out and didn't allow an inning to continue. So, you know, everybody can say the bat's been disappointing, and he'll probably be the first to say that, especially in the back half of SEC play. But that glove has made up for a lot of it, I think.
There's a question in the chat by John. We've kind of talked about the pitching matchup. This is an important one. John says, I feel like if you can keep Townsend and Hooks today, you're sitting really good for the tourney. Bargain Georgia win as well. You'll have 90% of your staff with a well-rested team heading into the tournament. That's a really good point, and not necessarily the NCAA tournament, but that's a chance that you could make a little noise in the SEC tournament. And let's get into the numbers a little bit. I know Mark Etheridge will do you on baseball, Chase Palmer, Rebels 247, and of course you have been all over this from a numbers standpoint. Jake, from the best of your ability, can you tell us what Ole Miss needs to do, obviously today, if they win, if they lose, SEC tournament versus hosting versus not hosting, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think first off, you got to get the win today, get to 16 wins. We know historically that's been a seed if possible when it comes to the NCAA tournament. But a win today and paired with a Georgia win over Auburn, I think that Chase and some other guys have number crunched all night even. I think David Callum helped them number crunch. That there may be some other weird tiebreakers that'll trickle into play depending on what other teams are sitting at 16-14 if Ole Miss can get there with Auburn. And I would say also direct yourself to the standings page on the SEC's baseball site. They, in some point in the middle of the season, refixed it, recalibrated it. It's been up to date faster, and at the bottom it's had breakdown of every tiebreaker for every grouping. It's been a nice breath of fresh air of information for me to have, and for others to at least explain to people who ask why is Ole Miss sitting where they're sitting in a group of 3 or 4 when they may have beaten some of those teams. But yeah, get to 16. RPI wise, I think they're sitting at 12 or 11, and that'll fluctuate. You know, as today goes on with games being played, you know, it's not just what Ole Miss does, it's what other teams do, teams they've played, lost, or beat, and what other teams that are not even in their orbit do. So a lot of the RPI fluctuates, but I think the biggest metric to look at right now is strength of schedule. They're number 2 overall, and that would obviously make them number 1 in the SEC strength of schedule. So they've got that going for them. The quad 1 wins are good. And I know there's some other metrics, DSR and some other stuff that the committee's looking at that Chase and others are a little more knowledgeable on. I'm having to brush up on because it's new to me. But the metrics are there. They've just got to get to 16, see if they can get a bye, not play Tuesday morning instead of maybe probably play Wednesday morning at 9:30, and who you would assume is probably, you know, whoever beats Missouri in that 9-16 game to kick off the week. And from there, if you get that extra day, that does set up health-wise pitching if you don't have to use a lot today. But you've also only got, you know, you can maybe use a Hunter or a Cade or I'm sorry, a Taylor, who have had some days off if you're playing a better team than a Missouri and know you'd like to pocket some wins just to feel better to add to that 16. Because right now, the Ole Miss is really 15-15 to the committee because they view the Governor's Cup as a conference game. It doesn't affect the standings, but it is against a conference opponent. And so they are currently 15-15 in the committee's eyes. So you obviously today you get 16-15 and then see what you can add at Hoover from there and see what you can do. But if you can shorten the week by a day, that pays dividends, as we've seen. Now, obviously, Ole Miss made that run last year, but that's kind of a rarity in the percentages of a team on a Tuesday sitting on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we've kind of looked at the numbers, and I appreciate you bringing that up. That Mayor's Stroke or Governor's Cup, whatever they call it, that's obviously a game that they put a lot of significance in. I want to go back to something that Mark Etheridge posted earlier this morning. He talked about obviously Ole Miss is at 15 wins, and they maybe have an argument at 15. That's me talking like Mark. But if you look at the strength of schedule, there's only two teams, Jake, Florida and Georgia Tech, that have more quad one wins than Ole Miss. You start getting into math and talking your way in and out of things. I think Mark made a good point. I'd love your thoughts. Sometimes it's not about the metrics as much as it's about just simply winning and losing. And he thinks that this game today literally is the make or break for Ole Miss to host a regional. It's just that simple. I mean, they've got the numbers. They've got everything that backs it up. But he truly believes they need to win today to get to 16.
Yeah, I think you win today. It's a bubble game, so to speak, hosting bubble, not tournament bubble. Ole Miss is, either going to be a host team or probably the top two seed in the tournament heading somewhere. And so I like where they are sitting metrics wise. I think Mark's correct. Take all the metrics away. Just win today. You're sitting at 16-14 SEC record wise. That's the magic number historically, and I think that takes care of itself because you didn't play a Missouri, you didn't play a South Carolina in the regular season. You've beaten all 15 wins, for better or for worse, at the time they played, I believe, were against ranked opponents. I mean, LSU, I think, was ranked, when they played them, like 24, 25. And so, you've got a lot in your favor. And I think that also what this team has done and the kind of team they've been, to sit here and still have a chance at 16 regular season SEC wins, that's going to go a long way, I think, in the committee's eyes. I said all I said earlier because the numbers are the numbers, and you don't know what each individual on that committee is thinking or wants to do and this and that. But I think you win today. That's 2 more wins against the top 20 team in your pocket. And then you head to Hoover and have a chance to play some more of these top SEC teams if you can make it through as the week progresses. So Ole Miss is sitting pretty, I think, hosting-wise, if they can get the win today.
Joel Mangrum, I mean, obviously I could ask you a question about Joel, but we all know the answer to that question. Let me just ask your comment. When he was brought on by Ma Bianco, and he pretty much has the keys to the car in regards to the pitchers, whether it be in, out, what have you, calling pitches, how big of an impact has he made in your opinion? Because this pitching staff this year is one of the better jobs that Mike has done since he's been at Ole Miss.
Yeah, obviously, Joel has been, a needed addition. Came in last year. We saw the impact he made kind of on being there just for a short amount of time. This was his first full off season from a season to another season. And, when I talked to him in the fall during kind of midway through fall ball, he was really excited about the pitching. I really thought this was a top unit, top to bottom, the entire staff. And, and he worked to add some pitches, some arsenal, so if you will, to every guy's pitching, I guess, weaponry, as you will. But, and we can also see what he's done in the pickoff move with what Hunter's able to do and some other guys that have been able to do in the pickoff game. But I don't think it could be overstated what Joel brought from being in the minor league system and the Guardians was viewed as one of the better pitching systems in the minors or MLB altogether. And he was the coordinator. He was the top of that. And so Mike went and got somebody that has some connections to the area, to Mississippi, and had been in college before, was like the idea of coming back. And it's paid a lot of dividends. Obviously, when he told me all that about how much he was excited about the staff, that included at the time Marco Cipolla and Grayson Gibson, who we know just did not have it, a lot of an impact before they both got hurt. Cipolla had season-ending surgery. Mike told us Tuesday that Grayson Gibson was doing some bullpens and was supposed to throw live BP this weekend. I'm assuming, early before a game this weekend on the field. So obviously, maybe Chase, somebody will ask him how that went, but you would think that you might get him back if he's effective, and have another arm moving forward after the SEC tournament, because from there it's just weekends. You're not playing midweeks the way the regionals and supers are, so you have all your arms for 3 games or 4 if you need them or more. So yeah, I think Joel's been a massive addition, and it can't be overstated. He's probably the best coach in terms of position wise on that team right now. What he's brought that pitching staff to over the last couple, not even 2 full seasons.
Joel Mangert's been a huge component of this team from a pitching standpoint. I want to talk very briefly, Jake. By the way, OMSpirit.com is where you can go right now to talk all about what's happening with this baseball game today. Jake will have a live thread. If it's not up, it's already up. It'll be pinned to the top, and you can chime in left and right, give your thoughts at the Ole Miss Spirit. That's OMSpirit.com. Use that code right there, and you can save. Jake, there's a special going on right now. I'm going to allow you to kind of tell us about that new special going on at the Ole Miss Spirit. That's OMSpirit.com. There's no more polarizing figure than Mike Bianco from the Ole Miss fan base. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I would have to say Mike's done a really good job this year. There's only a certain couple of games that I can think of to where he even intimated to where the top of the lineup has been really good, and in many ways the bottom third has been struggling, if you will. A lot of punch-outs, as he called it in the media availability last night. Your thoughts on Mike Bianco and how he's done this year, and also give us a little more information about that QR code or about how you can join the Ole Miss Spirit.
Yeah, no, I think, Mike is probably the most polarizing. Well, he may not be the most polarizing head coach Ole Miss has ever had at the moment. There's somebody else that might have taken that title about a week or two ago. And but no, of current coaches, he is and probably always will be until his era at Ole Miss moves on. But I think bringing in Joel helped a little bit. Obviously, Mike got a little bit of heat with the hitting there and that slump for a few weeks. But Mike has been here a very long time, and I know that's an issue for some people with the length of his tenure and the only two World Series appearances. But out of those two, he is 500, got a win in 22, didn't get it, got there in 14, but 2022 got it done. You feel like if you had beaten Murray State last year, you could have gotten past Duke. Most people felt that way, and maybe would have gotten to Omaha last year, so that would have been another one. But I know results get to the World Series or at least in supers and competing year in, year out. They really struggle with that consistency, and that's been the issue. But I have liked the moves that he's made and allowed Joel to make, and the hitting has been what it's been, and they tweak the lineup daily, game by game. But right now they're in a good spot. They played well. They've had the chance to have won their last four series. Got a chance to win these two. They could have won against Georgia. Should have won. Could have won against Arkansas. So. The results make it look like they've been playing bad, but they've just been right there. And that game Thursday night with the coulda, woulda, shouldas and the stuff that happened was kind of the microcosm of why they have been so close but couldn't get it done in those other two series. So I think Ole Miss is a good team right now, and Mike's to credit that. And obviously the knock, I think, that I'll kind of end it on this, is they're always recruiting top talent, top high school talent, but they've lost out on a lot of that talent due to the draft. But I think the flip side of the argument is, would you prefer them not recruiting guys that the MLB is not sniffing, and then you sit there and perceive it as, well, they're not good arms, good talent, good bats, good players. So it's the give and take, and I know that's added to a lot of people's opinions on both sides of the argument for Mike Bianco here at Ole Miss. And to your point on the sale, we started it earlier this week. It's for new members only. If you've never signed up before, new members only. You get $1 for the first week, I believe, and then after that, you get half off for your year subscription. So $1 for the first week, 50% off for a year subscription after that first week. So it's a really good deal, and we'll have a lot going on. Spring sports are doing well. We got women's golf already in the NCAA's. Men's golf starts up Monday in the regional. We'll hopefully have a lengthy baseball postseason. Softball's in the regional right now. And, we'll have a lot of content in the summer as we head into about 2 months from now, or a little over 2 months to Tampa for media days. And then everything gets going right after that. So a fun spring and summer, I think, for Ole Miss, and a lot of content can be found at omspirit.com, and click that QR code, and that'll take you right to the sale I just told you about.
Jake Thompson, you can find all of his work on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's omspirit.com. That's an affiliate of On Three. Jake, before we get you out of here today, what are the 3 to 5 keys to victory for Ole Miss? What do they have to do to win today to get to 16 wins here in Tuscaloosa?
Cade's got to get, I think, 6 or 7. Obviously, preferably 7. And then if you need hooks, he's rested. You feel good about him getting those final 6 outs. That's the first key. Second key, the bats have got to get going early. The Ole Miss has scored in the first inning, the first 2 games, and kind of got knots and some hits and batted around. but could not get more than a run early in both of the games. It was that not until that 5th inning, I think last night with the 4 runs from the 2 home runs, that the offense kind of woke up and poured it on late. They need to try to carry that over today earlier and get that lead up and take some pressure off Cade, because he's always got pressure on himself, and I'm sure he knows what this game means. But if he can get a lead early, let him pitch with a lead, it helps him focus on what he does best and can maybe give you that length today. And then you can just hand it to Hooks with maybe only needing 6 or less outs to go. So I think that's all of it in a nutshell right there. That's a perfect scenario and a perfect day for Ole Miss if all that happens.
Well, you heard it right here from Jake Thompson. He's covered this team every single game, and done a fantastic job for the Ole Miss Spirit. That's an affiliate of On3. He's Jake Thompson. Jake, thanks for jumping on with us, and look forward to reading all of your post-game, everything that you got going on post-game-wise on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's an affiliate of On3. Thanks, Jake.
Appreciate it, Brad.
He's Jake Thompson. We appreciate Jake joining us here on the Talk of Champions. Remember, you can find everything you need on our Talk of Champions YouTube page. We could not do what we do without all of our sponsors today. That, of course, begins with Riverland Roofing. Billy and his entire team are incredible partners for us at Riverland Roofing, and we appreciate everything that they do. B&A Bank, also a proud sponsor here on the Talk of Champions. Riverland Roofing, give them a call today, 662-644-4297, or online at riverlandroofing.com. Also grateful for our good friends at Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. We were live on location. We had a great interview with Jared Ivey's mom, and we appreciate her joining the show. Ben Garrett and I did. Ben and I, of course, co-host the Talk of Champions on the Talk of Champions Network in conjunction with Mudcat Media. More to come about our relationship with Mudcat, but we always enjoy Sudu Ukdea, who will be coming back with the Game Runs Deep very, very soon, all part of that Mudcat family. So excited about things to come there. We were live on location at Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Give them a call today. Ask for Greta Morgan. She specifically said, Brad, you tell them to call Greta. 662-234-8000. Celebrate an Ole Miss victory here today, hopefully, with a brand new vehicle at Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. You can always go to AllenSamuelsOxford.com. Once again, call Greta Morgan, 662-234-8000. Also, could not do what we do without our friends at C Spire. Make your life faster, smarter, and easier with C Spire. Landline, internet, and of course your cell phone data plan. Advanced technology solutions for homes and businesses. More at cspire.com. Flip today if you're not already with C Spire at cspire.com. Customer inspired. By the way, you need a haircut? I'm going next week. The perfect haircut can be yours at Game Day Haircuts of Oxford. They're, of course, located at 1735A on University Avenue. Give them a call. Schedule that haircut today, 662-380-5658, or book online at GameDayHaircuts.com. Be sure and follow them on Facebook. There's a lot of information there at Game Day Haircuts of Oxford. Our good friend Philip Hearn, we appreciate everything Philip Hearn does at the Hearn Law Firm. Give him a call today. And as he said, let's get started. 662-766-7777 or HearnLawFirm.net. Philip Hearn and his team have locations throughout the entire Southeast. Give Philip a call today. All of the comments were bumping today. Yeah, the music is loud behind me. They're a little bit louder than at Swayze Field, but we couldn't do what we do without all of our sponsors. And once again, our title and presenting sponsors, our friends at Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Hey, if you see, it's a beautiful day behind me. It's Ole Miss and Alabama coming up here in about 45 minutes. If the Rebels win today, per Mark Etheridge, it's a really good shot they'll be hosting postseason baseball in Swayze Field. Let's be honest, Swayze Field in Oxford was built to host postseason baseball. So the Rebs get it done today. Obviously, there's an outside shot with some wins and losses, RPI, strength of schedules, that they could possibly host by only winning 15. But you'd love that opportunity to knock that out today. Once again, Chase Parham has done a fantastic job. He and David Kellum, Chase said, we're really bumping the numbers about where Ole Miss can finish, where they're going to finish. So if they play Tuesday against Missouri, or they could possibly play Wednesday. If Georgia beats Auburn today, I think I'm right. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But if Georgia beats Auburn and Ole Miss wins today, per Chase, of course, at Rebels 247, if they win, they would be able to get that bye on Tuesday and play on Wednesday. So that would be big. But the biggest thing is right behind me is going to happen here in about 45 minutes. They need to win today and solidify that 16 conference number. That's the big number. The 3 keys to victory today, of course, brought to you by our good friends at Riverland Roofing. The 3 keys to victory are Cade Townsend needs to have a fantastic outing. We've seen Cade be really, really good for Ole Miss this year. There have been moments to where he has touched early and he's kind of broken down a little bit. He has to say within himself. Someone posted a moment ago, the pitching staff is in really good shape with Hudson Calhoun, Walker Hooks. They're all ready to go. The bullpen is in fantastic shape thanks to J.P. Robertson coming in last night. Matt Bianco said after the game, he did, well, I'm paraphrasing, but he did not anticipate J.P. Robertson to have such a good outing. It was a come out on an out-per-out basis. J.P. went the entire way. Of course, he was helped by a 5-run lead whenever he came into the game. But the bullpen is in really good shape. Once again, Austin Fawley hitting great from the plate, and I can't say it enough. Tristan Bissetta, the right fielder, has been so good in the outfield, but he really, really took a nosedive over the last couple of weeks. How cool has it been to see his coming back as he really broke out of his shell, had a big double down the right field line last night, and kind of got things cranked up. At the end of the day, this team is absolutely glued together by Will Furtis, the first baseman, Judd Udemark, the third baseman, and Hunter Elliott, the pitcher. You've got players like Owen Pano that hit a bomb last night that's really come on at shortstop. Ole Miss, Judd Udemark has to play better at third, but Judd's the guy you wanted to play in a crunch situation. Hayden Federico is someone that's had big hits as well. But at the plate, it's been Austin Fawley. Has been so good catching the football. Football. I've got my mind in football. But he's been so good catching without making all those errors. He's been really, really good at the plate too. So Mike Bianco was somewhat confident last night. At the end of the day, he knows the task at hand. It's Ole Miss in Alabama getting ready for a 2 o'clock first pitch coming up here from Tuscaloosa. You can catch it on the ESPN channels, whether it be SEC Network Plus or all points in between. Would also love for you to listen on the Ole Miss Radio Network. You can't say how good of a job David Kellum and Brad Henderson do on the Ole Miss Radio Network. You can listen online. If you're on the go, listen on the Varsity app. And you can always just sync it up with the television broadcast and enjoy the game from an absolute beautiful day from Sewell-Thomas Stadium. I'm Brad Logan saying so long from the Talk of Champions. It's Ole Miss in Alabama coming up at 2 from beautiful Sewell-Thomas Stadium. Full coverage post-game. There'll be a running thread on the Ole Miss Spirit. That's OMSpirit.com. Full coverage post-game with videos from here in Tuscaloosa. And then Jake Thompson will have you covered with all of the post-game analysis at the Ole Miss Spirit. That's affiliate of On 3. For Jake Thompson, the Ole Miss Spirit, I'm Brad Logan saying so long. We'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you at the end of the game right here on the Talk of Champions.